Hello everyone! Welcome back to the movie's Clarity. Today's story is called American Sniper. It's the story of a deadly marksman who eliminated over 200 terrorists with headshots during the war. This sniper is considered the most lethal in American history and remains a legend to this day. The story begins in Iraq. The situation there is extremely tense, as Al-Qaeda terrorists have turned Iraq into their base. In recent months, they have launched several attacks on the United States, killing thousands of people. In response, the US has deployed multiple military units to Iraq after receiving intelligence that the mastermind behind these attacks is hiding there. Countless operations are conducted daily to locate and eliminate these terrorists. During one such mission, we see a sniper named Chris Kyle providing cover for his team on patrol. According to the plan, ground soldiers move from house to house while the sniper team provides overwatch from above. Chris is positioned on a rooftop when he spots a woman with a child. He notices the woman's arms are still, as if she's hiding something. Moments later, she pulls out a grenade and hands it to the child. The child holding the grenade starts walking toward the soldiers. Chris watches through his scope, his heart pounding. He doesn't want to shoot a child, but if he doesn't, his comrades will die. With a heavy heart, Chris pulls the trigger and takes the shot. The story then shifts to a flashback. Chris is a young boy out hunting with his father. He shoots a deer and, excited, drops his rifle to admire his kill. Seeing this, his father scolds him and tells him to always respect his weapon. Time passes. Years later, Chris grows up to become a cowboy. One day, after returning home from work, he finds his girlfriend being unfaithful. Heartbroken, he throws her out and turns to alcohol to numb his pain. Soon after, he sees a news report about an Al-Qaeda attack on the US embassy that killed many innocent people. Deeply affected, Chris decides to serve his country. He makes up his mind to become a US soldier. A few days later, he appears for an army interview and is selected. His training begins immediately. The training is intense, designed to make soldiers mentally and physically strong. Many trainees give up midway, unable to endure the hardship, but Chris pushes through to the end. His superior officers notice his exceptional marksmanship and assign him advanced sniper training. From that moment, Chris Kyle begins his transformation into one of the most feared and respected snipers in history. After months of training and hard work, Chris is finally ready to enter the battlefield. Along with him, several other soldiers have also completed their training, and soon they will all be deployed to war. To celebrate, Chris and his friends go to a bar. There, he meets a woman named Taya. Chris and Taya instantly connect and start spending time together. Their friendship quickly grows into love, and soon they become deeply close. One day, Chris sees a news report about the 9/11 attacks carried out by a terrorist organization called Al-Qaeda. A few days later, Chris and Taya get married. On the day of their wedding, Chris receives a call from his superiors. He's been assigned to join the Iraq War, as intelligence reports suggest that Al-Qaeda's top leaders are hiding there. Chris feels proud and excited to serve his country. Right after his wedding, he leaves for Iraq, his first combat deployment. When Chris arrives, he's given the role of a sniper because of his exceptional shooting skills. His duty is to protect his fellow soldiers from afar and eliminate any threats before they can attack. However, Chris isn't the only sniper on the battlefield. Among the Al-Qaeda fighters, there's also a highly skilled sniper known as Mustafa. One of Chris's teammates tells him that Mustafa can hit targets from a distance of over 500 yards with deadly precision. He has already taken down many American soldiers with headshots. Chris listens carefully, not intimidated but determined. He takes his position as his team begins a patrol mission. Now the story moves to real time. Chris spots a child carrying a grenade toward his unit. He hesitates but knows that if he doesn't shoot, his comrades will die. He takes the shot and the child falls to the ground. Moments later, the boy's mother picks up the grenade and starts moving toward the soldiers. Chris, with a heavy heart, has no choice but to shoot her too. Killing a woman and a child on his first day in Iraq leaves him deeply shaken. But when his team praises him for saving their lives, his burden eases slightly. The next day, Chris takes his position again, scanning for threats. He spots a speeding car heading toward his team. Without hesitation, Chris fires a headshot at the driver, stopping the vehicle just in time. Seconds later, the car explodes, a suicide bomb. Once again, Chris saves countless lives. That same day, he eliminates 2 more terrorists attempting to ambush US soldiers. Later that evening, we are introduced to Mustafa, the deadly sniper from Al-Qaeda. He is seen waiting patiently in his position, and the moment a US soldier enters his sights, Mustafa fires, landing a perfect headshot. 3 days have passed since Chris arrived in Iraq. In just those 3 days, he has already taken down 8 terrorists. Seeing Chris's exceptional abilities, his comrades were proud of him. They all began calling him the legend. Days passed like this until one day, Chris received a call from Taya. She told him that she was pregnant. Chris asked about her health, and the two talked for a long time, sharing their feelings despite the distance between them. Sometime later, Chris's commanding officer gathered all the soldiers for an important meeting. He told them about a man named Abu Musab al-Zarqawi. He explained that Zarqawi was the leader of Al-Qaeda and the mastermind behind the attacks on America. Their mission was clear. Zarqawi had to be eliminated at any cost. The only way to find him was to search house by house. The operation began. A team of soldiers started searching homes one by one in hopes of finding Zarqawi. Meanwhile, Chris took his sniper position to cover his team from above. However, Chris wanted to be more directly involved. He believed he could fight on the ground as well as he could shoot from a distance. During this mission, several of his comrades were injured because, from his position, Chris couldn't see inside the buildings to cover them properly. Determined to help, Chris joined the ground team himself. They continued searching homes, looking for any clue that could lead them to Zarqawi. Eventually, they reached a house where they found a family. Chris became suspicious of the man there and questioned him about Zarqawi's location. The man said, "I'll tell you where Zarqawi is, but I want $100,000 so I can escape with my family." Chris's team returned to base and reported everything to their commander. The commander agreed, saying, "If the man truly has information, we'll give him the money." Chris's team then took the cash and set out to meet the man again. But at that very moment, Mustafa, the enemy sniper, spotted them from his position. He began firing at Chris's team with deadly precision. Chris tried hard to locate Mustafa's position, but he couldn't find him. Meanwhile, Zarqawi discovered that the man had been helping the US soldiers. He stormed into the house, killed the man and his son, and disappeared before anyone could stop him. Mustafa also stopped firing and retreated. Seeing all this, Chris was filled with rage. He swore he would kill Mustafa no matter what. But for now, he had to wait. His first tour in Iraq had come to an end. Afterward, Chris returned home. Taya met him at the airport with tears of joy. Although Chris was back, his mind was still trapped on the battlefield. He spent his days lost in thought, constantly watching war reports on television. One day, Taya suddenly felt a sharp pain in her stomach. They rushed to the hospital where she gave birth to a baby boy. Time passed, and soon Chris was called for his second tour in Iraq. When he arrived, he was informed that he had been promoted because of his outstanding performance. He was now a chief sniper. His superior told him that Chris had become the most wanted man in Iraq. Zarqawi had even placed a $1 million bounty on his head, but Chris didn't care about the reward. He immediately formed a new team and continued his relentless search for Zarqawi. Meanwhile, Chris's team received intelligence that Zarqawi was nearby. This news motivated them to intensify their mission. They entered a house where they found a local family. The soldiers questioned the head of the family about Zarqawi, but the man insisted he knew nothing. Chris's team decided to stay inside the house and monitor the surrounding area for suspicious movement. Their patience paid off when they spotted Zarqawi entering a nearby building. They planned to ambush him the moment he came out. While they were discussing their next move, the owner of the house invited them to join him for dinner. He said there was a party at his home that day and that he never ate alone. Chris's team agreed and they all sat together to eat. During the meal, Chris noticed that the man's elbow was badly bruised. Such bruises usually appear when someone spends long hours leaning on their elbows, like a sniper does. This made Chris suspicious. Quietly, he slipped away and began searching the house. While investigating, he discovered a hidden room filled with weapons and ammunition. Chris immediately confronted the man, dragged him to a corner, and questioned him aggressively. Under pressure, the man finally confessed. He revealed that Zarqawi was hiding in the building across the street and that he knew him personally. Chris's team quickly took their positions. They sent the man towards Zarqawi's hideout, pretending everything was normal. As the man reached the door and knocked, Chris's team prepared to strike. The moment the door opened, they opened fire. Gunshots echoed as the soldiers stormed the area. Hearing the chaos, Zarqawi panicked and tried to escape through a secret tunnel. He reached his car and sped off in an attempt to flee. But before he could get away, Chris's team riddled the car with bullets. Moments later, it exploded, killing Zarqawi instantly. Meanwhile, Mustafa heard about Zarqawi's death. Enraged, he vowed to avenge him and kill every member of Chris's team. Chris's second tour ended soon after and he returned home. But the war had deeply affected him, and he struggled to adjust to normal life. Time passed and Taya gave birth to their daughter. At the hospital, Chris watched his newborn crying loudly, and instead of joy, he felt overwhelmed. He began shouting at the nurse, unable to control his emotions. Taya noticed how much he had changed. She told him, "You've completely changed, Chris. You might be here with me, but your mind is still on the battlefield." Chris ignored her words and remained distant. Within a few days, he was called for his third tour of duty. When he returned to Iraq, he reunited with his fellow soldiers and spent some light-hearted moments with them. They laughed, joked, and tried to forget the horrors of war for a while. But far away, Mustafa was still watching, filled with anger and revenge. He spotted Chris's convoy moving through the streets and took aim. One shot rang out, hitting the driver of Chris's vehicle. Fortunately, everyone was wearing bulletproof vests, so their lives were spared. Chris immediately became alert. He jumped out of the car and climbed to the rooftop of a nearby building with one of his teammates to locate Mustafa's position. Mustafa's location was unknown. Chris's companion was named Beagle. Chris and Beagle were talking when Mustafa fired another shot, and Beagle was hit. Chris tried to locate the shooter, but he could not. He immediately carried Beagle down, and the team rushed him back to base. Seeing Beagle's condition, Chris and the others were furious and set out to find Mustafa at once. That decision proved to be deadly because Mustafa remained in position and now had the entire team in his sights. During the firefight, Mark was killed. Chris was devastated since Mark had been his friend since training. With the situation escalating, Chris's third tour was cut short. He returned home and attended Mark's funeral. He later visited Beagle in the hospital and vowed he would track down Mustafa. That night, while with Taya, Chris spoke strangely, as if he expected to die like his comrades. Taya was terrified and began to cry. She begged him to quit the army. Chris answered, "I can't. Only when I'm there can my brothers move safely. If I'm not, Mustafa will pick them off one by one." Taya warned him, "If you go back, you might not find us when you return." A few days later, Chris began his fourth tour in Iraq. During this time, he learned that Beagle had died during surgery. Chris was heartbroken. Beagle had been his closest friend. Soon after, Chris's commander called a meeting and explained that engineers were building a barrier through the city to aid their operations. However, a sniper in the area was still killing their soldiers. Intelligence confirmed the sniper was Mustafa. Hearing this, Chris's unit set out to eliminate him. They reached the sector and Chris took up a firing position. Then Mustafa, from his own hideout, fired and struck a US soldier. That shot gave Chris the bearings he needed to locate Mustafa. But Mustafa was about 2,000 yards away, roughly 1.8 kilometers. In other words, the distance between them was about the length of 2 football fields, a range considered nearly impossible for a precise headshot. Chris told the team, "Mustafa is my target, and he is roughly 2 kilometers away." The others tried to stop him. The odds of a successful shot were almost zero. Moreover, they were surrounded by enemy fighters and firing could reveal their position. The commander sent backup and ordered Chris not to shoot. But Chris was consumed by a need for revenge and refused to stand down. He did something no one expected. Even for a skilled sniper, it seemed impossible. He took careful aim and fired. His bullet cuts through the air, traveling 2,000 feet before hitting Mustafa directly. It was a perfect headshot. Everyone is stunned, unable to believe what just happened. But soon things take a terrifying turn. The terrorists have discovered their location and are moving toward them in large numbers. Seeing the situation worsen, Chris's senior officer orders an airstrike. Helicopters begin dropping bombs, shaking the ground beneath them. The blast could have easily taken out Chris's team, but there was no other choice left. Amid all the chaos, Chris becomes terrified. He feels like this might be the end. He calls home and tells his wife that he's finally ready to come back. But then luck favors Chris. A massive sandstorm suddenly sweeps across the battlefield, blinding everyone's vision. Taking advantage of the storm, Chris and his team managed to escape. That mission became Chris Kyle's last one. After that, Chris left the army and returned home. But the war had left deep scars on his mind. Even at home, his thoughts were trapped on the battlefield. As a sniper, his instincts made him overly alert to every little thing around him. One day, while sitting in the park with Taya, Chris watched his son playing with a dog. He thought the dog was about to attack his son, so he grabbed it and nearly killed it until Taya screamed his name. Realizing his mental state was getting worse, Chris decided to visit a doctor. The doctor told him that word had spread about his record, over 200 confirmed kills. He asked, "Do you regret it?" Chris replied, "No, I don't regret it. If I hadn't killed them, they would have killed my brothers." The doctor then asked, "Do you still want to help people?" Chris answered softly, "Yes." So the doctor took him to a hall filled with injured soldiers. Talking to them brought peace back to Chris's mind. Days passed, and Chris slowly began to feel normal again. He started spending more time with his family, and even went hunting with his son. One day, a man came to visit Chris. He introduced himself as a police officer and said he needed Chris's help. Chris got into his car and left with him. At the end of the movie, we learn that this same man killed Chris Kyle that day. The screen then shows real footage from Chris's funeral, where thousands of Americans gathered to honor their hero. And that's how this powerful and emotional story comes to an end. I truly hope you felt something while watching this. If this story touched your heart even a little, please subscribe to my channel. Your support means everything to me and helps me keep bringing stories like this to you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon with another incredible story. Until then, stay safe and keep smiling.